Welcome back to the Old Storyteller.
In this video, we will explore how World War I changed our world forever. Picture the world in 1913. Europe stood at the height of its power.
Empires ruled continents.
Kings sat on ancient thrones. Many believed civilization had reached its peak. Then came 1914.
World War I did not just destroy millions of lives.
It shattered political systems, redrew borders, unleashed revolutions, and set humanity on a path that still shapes our world today. The Great War didn't just end an era.
It built the modern one. Before 1914, four great empires dominated Europe and beyond: the German Empire,
The Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire, and the Russian Empire.
By 1918, all four were gone.
The war exhausted their economies, fractured their societies, and ignited revolutions. In Russia, military disaster and starvation sparked revolution in 1917. The Romanov dynasty fell.
In its place rose something unprecedented, a communist state that would later become the Soviet Union.
The collapse of the Austro-Hungarian Empire carved Central Europe into fragile new nations: Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia. The Ottoman Empire, which had ruled the Middle East for centuries, disintegrated, and Germany, defeated and humiliated, became a republic struggling under crushing reparations.
The political map of Europe was rewritten almost overnight. But these new borders were not stable. They were seeds.
When the Ottoman Empire collapsed, Britain and France divided its Arab lands between them.
In diplomatic rooms far from the desert, officials drew straight lines across maps. From these decisions emerged modern states like Iraq, Syria, Jordan, and Lebanon. These borders often ignored ethnic, tribal, and religious realities on the ground.
The consequences have echoed for more than a century through coups, civil wars, and regional conflict. The Middle East, as we know it today, was largely shaped by the aftermath of World War I.
The war left Europe traumatized.
Nearly 16 to 20 million people were dead. Entire generations were scarred.
Economies were shattered. Inflation spiraled. Governments seemed weak and incompetent.
In Russia, revolution gave birth to the first communist state. In Italy and Germany, anger and instability gave rise to fascism. Many Germans blamed the harsh Treaty of Versailles for their suffering.
Reparations, territorial losses, and military restrictions fueled resentment. In that chaos, extremist movements gained traction.
One of them was led by Adolf Hitler.
World War I did not make World War II inevitable, but it made it possible. Many historians see 1914 to 1945 as one long conflict, with a fragile 20-year pause in between. World War I transformed warfare forever.
This was the first truly industrial war.
Machine guns, heavy artillery, poison gas, submarines, tanks, and airplanes changed the battlefield.
Civilian economies were mobilized entirely for war production. Propaganda became a weapon. Governments learned how to control information, manage public opinion, and direct entire societies toward conflict. The scale of destruction reshaped military doctrine for the 20th century, and the horror of chemical warfare led to international efforts to ban such weapons agreements that still influence global law today.
Before 1917, the United States had largely avoided European conflicts. When it entered the war, it tipped the balance. American troops and industrial power helped secure victory for the Allies.
After the war, the United States emerged as a major financial and industrial force. Though it retreated into isolation in the 1920s, its global role would only grow.
By the end of World War II, it would stand as a superpower.
The shift of global power away from Europe began in World War I. The Russian Revolution, born in the chaos of war, created the Soviet Union in 1922.
For the first time, a major world power was built on communist ideology.
That ideological divide, capitalism versus communism, would dominate the 20th century.
The Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union was shaped by forces unleashed in 1917.
Without World War I, the geopolitical chessboard of the Cold War would have looked very different. After such devastation, leaders promised never again. The League of Nations was created to prevent future wars through collective security and diplomacy. It ultimately failed, but it laid the conceptual foundation for the United Nations after World War II.
The idea that nations must cooperate to preserve peace gained traction because of the horrors of 1914 to 1918. Modern international institutions, imperfect as they are, trace their origins to the Great War's aftermath. World War I shattered faith in progress. Before 1914, many believed technology would improve life. Instead, Industrial innovation produced mass slaughter. Artists, writers, and philosophers questioned old ideas about honor, empire, and heroism.
The last generation emerged disillusioned, skeptical, modern. The war accelerated social change. Women entered factories in unprecedented numbers. After the war, many countries expanded women's suffrage. Class systems weakened.
Old monarchies disappeared.
The modern social order began to take shape.
World War I was not just a military conflict, it was a structural earthquake.
It destroyed empires, created new nations, empowered radical ideologies,
Redrew the Middle East,
set the stage for World War II.
helped produce the Cold War, and reshaped global power.
It marked the end of the 19th century and the violent birth of the 20th.
The world we live in politically, geographically, and ideologically still carries its imprint.
The Great War was supposed to be the war to end all wars. Instead, it became the beginning of a century defined by conflict, revolution, and transformation.
World War I did not just close a chapter of history,
It opened the modern one.
and its echoes still shape our world today.
Thank you for joining us on this journey.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.